Hello, friends. The Ragtags just helped bring about the end of the tyrannical reign of the Archfey Valrillin. Not to mention, saved the gate town of Sylvania to boot. Not a bad spot of work, innit? Time for a celebration, yeah? Or 2 or 3. So, are you ready to hear the rest of the tale? Then let us commence. Right. After Gwyn Wynn, the Sovereign of Spiders, and Valrillin Firstborn used the Glimmer to heal Merca Hain, sacrificing themselves in the process, the land was well on the mend, pretty much right away. I mean, there's a lot of precedent for even the most powerful Fey magics being almost instantly reversible, so, you know, don't get all incredulous about it, yeah? Still, a long and harsh tyranny had finally come to an end in an epic and brutal battle, so everyone, including the Ragtags, were quite physically and emotionally drained from it all. Thankfully, the way forward in the land of Merca Hain seemed to reveal itself rather smoothly. Much of what had occurred as a result of Valrillin's demise, and the Glimmer's restorative pulse was apparent soon after. By all accounts, the White Arbor had been restored to its full life-energizing powers, growing tall and true and magnificent, but it turns out that it now had help in the form of 2 other life trees. One we're all quite familiar with, the oak in the secret chasm of the Lost Way up in Coldmire. Well, I guess it's back to being called Spring Acres now, right? The Glimmer had supercharged it, and it had grown taller and more powerful along with the thawing land around it. The third life tree had a more somber tale to it. If you recall, there was a third leader of the resistance, the Dryad Marina. Well, when Valrillin's forces had attacked Once Was and breached the tunnels of the Warren, Marina had sacrificed herself by becoming a huge gnarled tree, expanding and choking the tunnels with its roots and branches, trapping the Lord Shade's minions, and giving the harried resistance fighters a chance to escape. The Glimmer had infused the Dryad's new form, and the tree was a beautiful though sad reminder of the sacrifice many had to make for freedom. With the Lord Shade and all of his dark machinations erased from the land, a new name was chosen. One that honoured the revered past, but also looked to the future. Vilena quickly named the land Solace Hain. Land of Light is a close translation, I believe. Lovely. Speaking of Vilena, she was the Lady Vilena now, or Lady Vilena Sovereign Spiderling to be precise. Those Archfey do love their titles, don't they? And while she did seem quite overwhelmed by, well, pretty much everything going on at the moment, it was clear to everyone concerned that she was going to be just fine as the new heir to the domain. Considering she was basically the exact opposite of the previous blighter in charge, I'd say she was already a huge improvement. She happily thanked the Ragtags for everything they had done for her and for the land. Much to Unia's despair, Vilena asked that the Amulet of Seasons be returned, as it was an artifact of Solace Hain. And while it wasn't a straight one-for-one trade, she did give them a spellstone with 1 teleport spell in it. Awkwardly moping about the fringes of things at first, Morgilla the Black Swan slowly found herself mingling with the common folk of Solace Hain, as they warmly accepted her as a hero of the battle and acknowledged her true-hearted effort at redeeming herself. It was quickly apparent that Morgilla's motherly instinct, misguided for so long, could now find solace and purpose in caring deeply for her niece Vilena, who would need all the help she could get rebuilding the domain. The young seer could also use some help in learning the dark of how to go about being an Archfey as well, yeah? Still terrifying and intense, the trickster Vilter, aka the Recluse, seemed to be basking in all the positive energy the battle's afterglow was giving off. Unpredictable as always, she had an instant attachment to her baby sister, and acted like the rebel older sister she seemed born to be. Vilter revealed that she was eventually planning on leaving Solace Hain, at least for a while, to roam the plains. She was an Archfey who had been trapped underground for centuries and more, so it wasn't much of a surprise that she wanted to roam the multiverse for a time. The body of the Bard Oregano Dale was, respectfully removed from the Ragtag's bag of holding and given to the people of Solace Hain. Vilena planned to have a Bard's College constructed in their honour in Once Was, and a tomb befitting a hero of the land as part of it where the Bard would be interred. A long moment of silence was observed to feel the weight, not only of the now documented loss of such a figure and symbol, but also of the contribution that O'Regan O'Dale had made to Solacehane itself. The Ragtags, well, most of them, I guess, were elated that Banderman had made it through this entire thing in one ethereal piece. Turns out he had been at the final battle helping out where he could. Vilena had offered to make him whole again, but he politely declined, choosing to stay a ghost. Although she had given the Fey Gnome the ability to decide when to show himself and when to stay invisible, which he demonstrated as soon as Varys began asking a series of rapid-fire questions about the nature of being incorporeal for a great length of time. Antiope the Centaur celebrated victory heartily and informed everyone that she would spend her time helping Nu-Allah rebuild the Silver Sworn Order, while also adventuring through the land with the Eladrin Knight, Monkey Paul, Banderman, and Engun the Bard. Turns out there were still a bunch of dragons out there, as well as many ancient ruins that needed exploring. She also drank a toast for her fallen comrade, Burz the Bugbear, who had been slain in battle against the dragon Angaresh, the giant's bane, when the companions had teleported to the spire to activate the beacon. It had been Burz who had harried Angaresh enough to chase her off, though her final volley of lightning had proven too much for the noble bugbear. Monkey Paul was looking forward to a life of adventure with his friends, though he was also committed to helping his brethren in the Rejects, as they had been commissioned by Vilena to help design and rebuild a new palace and city on Illigeddon Isle that would erase the miasma of the Gloom Mill. While Braze tried very hard, even the gold-tongued Dragonborn could not convince Monkey Paul to give him his trademark hat. Ferrin was already busy with their post-victory life. Vilena had appointed the Eladrin the Lord of Once-Was. Their first official act as Lord of the City was to rename it Dinas Arbhaer, which means second chance. That's right, proper, innit? Then there was Gruff the Green Man. You know, I'm still not certain if that is a nickname or his real name or a philosophy or what. Anyway, turns out Gruff is from Spring Acres, formerly Coldmire, formerly Spring Acres. He had left his home, like many others, when Hivernion took over the place and turned it into a frigid, stone-cold wasteland. Gruff planned on returning to the newly thawed Spring Acres to help bring it back to its former idyllic glory. Engun the Bard was going to retrace the steps of the Bard O'Regan O'Dale through Solacehane, looking to uncover and explore lost places of myth and legend, and compose verse about it all. No word on if they would be leaving random scrolls around the land for random strangers to find. When they weren't travelling about, Engun had been asked to teach at the Bard's College in Dinas Arbhaer as its first official faculty member. They would also be joining Nu-Allah, Antiope, Banderman, and Monkey Paul on their dragon and monster hunting adventures. Nu-Allah, the last of the Silver Swarm, would be returning to the ruins of the spire with the hopes of rebuilding the place and the ancient order of Eladrin Knights. As we mentioned, when she wasn't doing that, she would be travelling the countryside with her companions, looking to hunt down and assassinate the various dragons that were still flying about Solacehane. The remaining Resistance members and various prisoners who had been whisked to the ruins via Valrillin's trains were now part of the celebrations, hardly believing that the Lord Shade's dominion had come to an end. They thanked the Ragtags, offering anything they could as tribute. Yeah, it was all a bit awkward for our friends. The good awkward, though, I think. Devrina seemed beyond elated, enjoying the post-battle revelry as only a satyr can. Nimnilian seemed, well, different, somehow. The gregarious and, to quote the Liber Lunae Infinitus, vapid gadabout was obviously relieved that Sylvania had been saved, but there was something more to the Archfae's happiness. Something that carried a weight to it, a substance even. Huh. Lilyspec, Dimplemist, and the rest of the Garda were all super happy that this was all over with, and that they could return to Sylvania. And, of course, that there was a Sylvania they could actually return to. While unable to resist the urge to tease them a bit first, the Ragtags handed the Liber Lunae Infinitus over to their pixie police friends so that finally their case was indeed closed. At one point, the Ragtags gathered round answers and asked just exactly how and when he would be getting them to Darkon and get them an audience with Mordrin Slake, the crime boss responsible for having them loaded onto the airship at the, sort of, start of all this. The tabaxi smuggler explained that his former transportation network of Vistani travelers had all been wiped out by whoever was trying to kill him. Remember that? So he had to come up with an alternative to get everyone to duck on. The backup turned out to be something called the Carnival. Huh, sounds harmless enough, right? The Carnival was a, carnival, but one that travelled throughout the plains, and mostly the domains of Dread where Darkon was. Answers had an in with the folks who made up the carnival, and specifically their leader, an Eladrin named Isolde. The tabaxi said that the travelling circus would be in SIGIL for Mortis Fest, so they just had to hook up with them there and then. Easy peasy. I mean, you know, that sounds like it's all worked out, and that it'll all go gackety-boo golly, right? Yup. Nimnilian seemed incredibly excited and antsy to get back to Sylvania, perhaps suspiciously so. Still, no one wanted to hike all the way back through Tibanrian, the Drungamere swamps and Spring Acres to use the Fey crossing back to the gate town. So hitching a teleport with a vapid archfey was the best way out of Solacehane. So, about to pull what's commonly known as an Asgardian goodbye, the Ragtags gathered around Nimnilian as he prepared to teleport everyone to Sylvania. As the spell surrounded them, the Lady Vilena Sovereign Spiderling, tired and overwhelmed but full of thanks and joy, met their eyes and gave them all a final wonderful smile as they left Solacehane. Just as quick as you like, the Ragtags were whisked away and back to the centre of Sylvania, where a huge celebration in their honour, set up with surprising care by Nimnilian, kicked off as soon as they arrived. Immediately dubbed the Heroes of Sylvania, a name that seemed to catch on instantly, the companions were feted and celebrated as they had never known, at least not in recent days. I mean, they saved an outland gate town from being completely absorbed by another realm, didn't they? That doesn't just happen every day, even in the outlands. Nimnilian was back in his element, certainly, as he and Sylvania did what they do best. And that, of course, was revelry, merriment, partying, etc. Still, the charming, though frivolous Archfey kept making sure the Ragtag stayed the centre of attention, whether they liked it or not. Tavrina definitely enjoyed the spotlight and attention being a hero elicited, and now she was back in Sylvania, her home, a place she had helped save. The resolute fawn was beside herself. Sintel seemed happy to be back. The beautiful Feyhound soon ate through the delicacies from one of the large banquet tables and fell asleep by a fire. Seratheta, the Spiritor of Thought, thanked the companions for all they had done. When asked what she would do next, the philosophical Archfey said she would continue her role, and joy, of being the head librarian of the Law Spire in Sylvania. As she watched Nimnilian being not only the perfect host of the celebration, but of the town of Sylvania itself, the Spiritor of Thought couldn't believe she was saying this, but that Nimnilian should stay as the leader of the gate town. He seemed like the Archfey they needed right now. Lilyspeck and Dimplemist seemed overjoyed to be home. The Ragtags celebrated their tiny, honourable members and asked if the Pixies would be interested in joining their ranks full-time. Surprisingly, the two Garda officers said they would pass, citing a load of paperwork that needed filling out, now that the Liber Lunae Infinitus case was closed. With that, the Pixies made the Ragtags honorary Garda officers and presented everyone with tiny gift boxes that, when opened, revealed individual shimmering, amazing pixie bodysuits that, apparently, could stretch to any size and fit anyone. The companions also met the head officer of the Garda, an older pixie named Grassy Willow who had a sort of weathered, world-weary veteran thing going on and was too old for this. Well, you get the idea. Despite riding the high of a victorious hero's homecoming earlier, Tavrina seemed to be crashing now, and crashing hard. The noble fawn appeared to be having a crisis of faith or dark night of the soul or... well, you get it. It seemed that now that she was home, she wasn't sure that she wanted to go back to being Nimnilian's assistant, or a librarian at the Law Spire. Her travels through Mercahane had reawakened her adventurous spirit and the wanderlust of her days as a thorn-bearer in the world of Theros, before coming to Sylvania. Regal, always finding the most direct route to a solution, simply offered Tavrina a place as a member of the Ragtags. And, once all of the excited screaming and jumping died down, The intrepid fawn enthusiastically accepted. "Oh, wow. I am definitely getting choked up here. Okay. At one point, the crowd around the Ragtags parted, and a strange procession of rough and tumble-looking fae approached with a, I must say, absolutely terrifying hag at the head. It was Mama Ethel, the main crime boss in Sylvania. Thankfully? Yes. Thankfully, Ethel was there to thank the Ragtags for saving her son Beck from the clutch and clutches of Moragilla the Black Swan in Mercahane. She said that they had a hag's favour now. I mean, I think that's good, right? It just feels kind of, I don't know, harrowing. Later in the fever dream of the evening, Nillian came to the Ragtags and really seemed to want to say something to them. Except, well, he was having a lot of trouble saying whatever it was. It definitely seemed to start with the letters T and H, but it just kept getting caught in his throat. Okay. It was thank you. Nillian wanted to say thank you to the Ragtags, right? That makes sense now, doesn't it? The Archfey admitted that he was a lot. Like, a lot. But that he appreciated not only their selflessness and help with saving Sylvania, but also in just making him want to be a better person, or Archfey, or whatever. Oh, you know what I'm saying. Surprisingly, the Archfey presented everyone with a gift. Beautiful, personally customized, Fey-designed daggers for everyone. Then, as Archfey are wont to do, Nillian's mood seemed to darken once more. This time his mind was focused on Devrina. He said he didn't want her to go, and he knew he could just make her stay. But he wanted her to stay because she wanted to stay, not because he told her to. He also said he just wanted her to do what she wanted to do and to be happy doing it. Then he told the Ragtags to watch out for her, and that she was special, and special to him. Oh. The night was full of joy and camaraderie. And drinking. Lots and lots of drinking. I mean, it's Sylvania. You don't even get drunk if you don't want to, yeah? At the end of it all, Anna Winstarsong, the innkeeper of the Trio Life Inn, told the Ragtags that they would be staying in the Golden Summer Suites, the largest set of rooms in the inn at the top of the Great Oak, and they would be staying as guests of the inn free of charge. And with that, everyone retired for the evening. Tomorrow they would return home, to Sigil, the City of Doors, and to whatever fortunes, good or ill, waited for them there.
Yeah.